Fearing I'd out myself, I kissed and embraced the list actor on set, but off set we were just bros. The moment filming wrapped, I packed my bags and ran for the hills. Later, at a gay bar, I had a man on each arm. The film emperor, his eyes red with rage, confronted me. I'm 63, 7 inches, and you're telling me I can't compete with these two tarted-up hustlers. By the way, 7 isn't my age. Me, Chapter 1. The first kiss scene. I kissed Julian Croft's lips until they were swollen. My own lip was bitten raw by him. Julian's chest heaved as he grabbed a towel to cover his lap. I'm going to the restroom. My agent, Angela Vance, rushed over. Why were you so aggressive? I told you Julian is homophobic. Look, you kissed him so hard he had to go to the restroom. He's probably throwing up in there, I retorted indignantly. That's what the script called for. Angela said gravely, Robin, remember, you're a straight man right now. Whatever you do, don't out yourself. I felt wronged. Is this the price I pay for lying on my resume to get a job? Chapter 2. 2 months ago. I was drowning in debt, but Angela said I had a great ass and pulled some strings to get me a role in a BL drama. It was a chance to act opposite the award-winning actor Julian Croft and get my big break. When I arrived, I saw the long line for the open casting call. I panicked, asking Angela, where are those strings you were supposed to pull? Angela, who had a background steeped in folk beliefs, said calmly, I prayed to the patron saint of seafarers. She said you'd definitely get the part. Whatever, I had to give it my all. A short while later, Angela returned, her eyes shining. This time, I really did use my connections. Julian Croft is homophobic. Don't you dare stare at him when you're in there. I was completely baffled. If he's homophobic, why would he agree to star in a gay romance? Just then, an actor who didn't get the part walked out. Our eyes met. My gaydar went off. He was definitely one of us. Could it be that all the gay actors were being filtered out? During my audition, I didn't dare look at Julian once. The director asked for my interpretation of the character. I put on my most earnest face. I don't really understand the psychology of a gay man being obsessed with another man, but my appearance fits the role perfectly. The beauty mark under my eye, my physique. It's all exactly as described in the script. Julian suddenly looked up, his gaze landing on my very noticeable ass. My whole body went rigid. I knew I shouldn't have worked so hard on my glutes. Julian had a mature, sexy face, but his eyes were aloof and cold. Robin Hayes, are you straight? Yes. The kind of straight that can't stop staring at men. In the end, I was chosen from a sea of male actors all vying for Julian Croft. Chapter 3. After joining the cast. I worked hard every day to play straight, acting like one of the bros with Julian. Thank God my college major was in early childhood education. I could talk to thin air and make it a conversation. I found out everything I could about Julian. He came from a wealthy family and had a smooth sailing life. The only dark spot in his past was an incident years ago when a male co-star drugged him. Julian beat the guy so badly he ended up in the hospital. Clearly, he wasn't someone to mess with. If he found out I was faking being straight, would he beat me up? To make matters worse, The Broken Vow had a ton of intimate scenes. The story was about two childhood friends who reconnect after being separated by fate. The dominant one has become a monk, but the submissive one, who is secretly in love with him, refuses to give up. He pursues him relentlessly, even offering his body to seduce him, hoping the monk will return to a secular life. I was playing the role of the shameless admirer lusting after the monk. Tusk. What a mess I had to play gay without letting Julian find out I was actually gay. Director Miller. First kiss scene. Are you two ready? Julian nodded. I nodded too. Action. I squeezed my eyes shut and lunged at him. Director Miller yelled, cut, and criticized me without holding back. You're acting like an AI, a robot. Damn it, I grabbed my hair in frustration and went to the side to get myself together. Julian lit a cigarette and walked over to me. Over the past few weeks, we had become friends. We'd even go out for late-night snacks together. One time, we were followed by a paparazzo. I was a nervous wreck, afraid of what they might write. After all, the gap in our fame was huge, and we were filming a sensitive subject. But Julian told me to relax and personally brought the paparazzo a cooling drink. It's easy to get heatstroke in the summer. You can come inside to shoot if you want, but any story has to be approved by my team. My friend and I are just out for a late bite. I'd rather not have fans chasing us down, okay? When Julian looked at you, it felt like the rest of the world faded away. The pap went from a stalker to a fan on the spot. I had to admit he was incredibly charming. Even now, with a shaved head for the role, his gentle, focused gaze could make anyone swoon. It's my fault. I've put too much pressure on you. He was right. I was so worried about his homophobia that I was afraid to kiss him deeply. Julian raised his hand, his fingertips brushing against my lips. Robin. I turned my head stiffly. Yeah, his thin lips parted slightly. Open your mouth. Use your tongue. I'm giving you permission to kiss me. The temple bell rang, and the thick scent of incense filled the air. My heart lost its rhythm. I stood on my toes and kissed Julian. The taste was a bitter mix of tobacco. Chapter 4. The official take. I gave it my all, our breaths tangling, saliva exchanged. I'm naturally gay, and Julian is the gay community's dream guy. It would be a lie to say I felt nothing. But afterward, Angela said Julian had definitely gone to the restroom to throw up. A flicker of disappointment went through me. The intimate scenes became more frequent after that. Julian invited me to his room at night to run lines. Worried I'd mess up, I called my friend in the industry, Leo Finch, to vent. I took a role in a BL drama, and the guy playing the lead is a rabid homophobe. My agent warned me 1,000 times to act straight, a gay man playing straight while playing gay. This was some next-level torment. I don't know the first thing about being straight, Leo. You're straight, you have to teach me. Leo let out a pained laugh. I got turned gay after my last BL drama. Do I still count as straight? Me. I guess you could call it a severe case of an occupational hazard. Leo was always a loyal friend. He thought for a moment and told me, sometimes straight guys are even wilder than gay guys. If you overdo the act, you'll just expose yourself. I took careful notes. That night, while running lines, Julian, following the script, wrapped his arm around my waist and angrily pushed me onto the bed. I remembered Leo's words. So I playfully patted his abs and teased, "Wanna help each other out?" Julian was silent for a moment, a complex emotion I couldn't decipher flashing in his deep eyes. "Robin, have you done this with other straight guys before?" I forced myself to answer. Of course, Julian's gaze suddenly darkened, his large hand gripping the back of my neck, stroking it repeatedly. I thought he would refuse, given his homophobia, but instead he pulled me closer. "Then let's give it a try." My pupils shrank. I never expected Julian to agree. Didn't my kiss make him sick just the other day? Straight guys really are wilder than gay guys. The truth is, I didn't have much experience, and I get chatty when I'm nervous. Haha, does this count as a monk breaking his vows? I thought Mr. Croft's character was supposed to be immune to seduction in the show. Julian's voice was soothing. "I'll only break them for you." He was so smooth. My head was spinning and my legs felt weak. I pathetically pushed him away. "Okay, that's enough." Julian pecked the corner of my lips, a gesture of post-coital comfort. "Sorry, Robin. I made your hands sore." I flushed with anger and embarrassment. Was he bragging about lasting longer than me? The air was thick with an unspoken scent. My mind was a mess. I tried to leave, all my limbs moving awkwardly. Julian grabbed me. I had my assistant bring over some stomach-soothing porridge. "Eat something before you go." "How did you know I have stomach problems?" A small smile played on Julian's lips. "You only took 2 bites of your lunchbox before you frowned." He smoothed the space between my brows, then his fingers traced the beauty mark under my eye. "When you frown, you look like a fledgling that hasn't been fed." His voice was magnetic, like he was reciting poetry. "Robin. Your name is a bird too." Chapter 5. Filming for The Broken Vow was almost over. Julian and I were stuck together like glue. We'd run lines at night and occasionally help each other out. After doing something naughty, I'd feel a pang of guilt. Lying in his arms, I'd emphasize that I was straight. Julian was easy to fool. He believed me every time. The crew was used to seeing us together. Only Angela was a nervous wreck. She even went to a temple to get me a protective talisman, saying she was afraid Julian would beat me up. He's a straight guy, Robin. Even if he's gotten too deep into his role and is being a little intimate now, he'll walk away without a second thought once filming is over. Don't be a fool and fall for him. I know, my head's on straight. That's what I said, but my eyes couldn't stop following Julian. The day before we wrapped, I had a dream. In the dream, Julian had a girlfriend. He looked at me coldly and asked why I pretended to be straight to seduce him. "It's disgusting," he said. I couldn't defend myself. A sudden downpour started. I was drenched to the bone, unable to catch up to him no matter how fast I ran. I woke with a jolt. I looked at the man sleeping soundly beside me. He had a high brow bone that made him look part Western, but his features had the subtle, gentle quality unique to East Asians. We had a few drinks tonight, and he let me stay over. The night was as still as water. My heart ached with a bitter sorrow. I leaned in and gently kissed his eyes. He would never know that his straight bro had ulterior motives from the very beginning. Robin, the sleeping Julian, suddenly opened his eyes, flipping over to straddle me. For some reason, what started as a gentle, misty kiss escalated into a torrential storm. "Can I?" "Robin." Julian nibbled on my earlobe, his breath hot against my skin. He must be drunk. That was the only reason he'd indulge so freely with me outside of a scene. Tomorrow, he would forget all of this. I wrapped my arms around him in silent consent. When it was over, I fled in disgrace. A wetness trickled down my leg. Humiliated and angry, I cursed under my breath. Chapter 6. Summer ended. Filming for The Broken Vow was complete. At the wrap party, Julian and I went around making toasts. Everyone was teasing us, saying we looked like a pair of newlyweds. Halfway through, Julian took a call and left in a hurry. It sounded like a girl's voice. Director Miller took the opportunity to come talk to me. "Robin, do you know how The Broken Vow ends?" I could barely hold my wine glass, shaking my head in a daze. The Broken Vow had an open ending. The admirer goes back down the mountain to his normal life, while the monk watches him leave. At that moment, the wind blows a prayer flag. Is it the wind that moves or the flag? Director Miller could see I was moved. "You're both good actors. Julian is 6 years older than you. He can't hold back your future." He put it nicely. He wasn't worried about Julian holding me back. He was worried I would cling to Julian. Director Miller changed the subject. "Do you know why Julian agreed to do The Broken Vow?" I was curious too. What could possibly make a homophobe like Julian Croft take on a BL drama? The director's words were like a splash of cold water. Because the script was written by his ex-girlfriend. All this time, Julian and I had talked about everything except our relationship histories. Not far away, a beautiful woman in an elegant silk dress stood beside Julian. That was who he was on the phone with. Director Miller pointed at her. "That's her, Julian's ex-girlfriend." My eyesight is excellent. I could clearly see them hugging. She looked up, he looked down, as if they were about to kiss. My eyes started to burn for no reason. I tilted my head back and downed my drink in one go. I was drunk, and yet perfectly sober. I pulled a lighter from my pocket and burned the confession letter I had stayed up all night writing. What good could possibly come from trying to turn a straight man gay? Besides, I was a liar too afraid to tell the truth. Chapter 7. I left the party early. I blocked Julian on everything. Other than necessary business events, I holed up at home, refusing to go out. I watched Julian's filmography, one movie after another. Whenever there was an intimate scene with a female co-star, I'd watch it on double speed. After seeing enough, I understood. He was so damn good looking that he looked passionate with everyone, and his kisses always had chemistry. I was just a passing character in his career. Angela mocked me, saying I was useless at everything except being a master of self-torture. "It's not like I'm bothering anyone," I muttered. Frustrated with me, she tossed an invitation onto the table. "Here, it's Julian's birthday tonight. He sent you one too." Julian's birthday party was trending on social media. In the corner of a photo, there she was, his ex-girlfriend. Angela sighed. "His family is seriously rich." Just for a birthday party, all the big-name families showed up. I was listless. Don't talk about money. It just complicates things. Julian was a gentleman. Even after I blocked him, he wouldn't publicly burn bridges. But unfortunately for him, I'm the type who would rather be nothing than just friends if we can't be lovers. Angela tried to convince me to go and network. I changed into a sheer, black lace shirt. I'm not going. Wasting my time on a straight guy is pointless. Leo invited me out for drinks tonight. When I got there, I realized it was a gay bar. Leo was now dating the guy who turned him. He looked like he was glowing with vitality. Leo was a bigger star now, so he probably got an invitation from Julian too. But instead of going, he asked me out. I hugged him, moved. "You're a true friend, a real one. It gets even realer." Leo clapped his hands, and a lineup of models, all over 6 feet tall, suddenly appeared in our private room. "Yes." I sucked in a sharp breath. Leo pinched my cheek. "Look at you, all gaunt from a lack of male attention." I rubbed my hands together, making a dirty joke. "There are so many. Will I die from overeating? You greedy boy. You really plan on devouring that many at once?" After some careful selection, I kept the 2 I found most appealing. Chapter 8. I had a man on each arm. The one on the left said, "My dad's a gambling addict, my mom died young, and I have a younger brother in college." The one on the right said, "Same here, I didn't mind the cliché sob stories, at least they were making an effort for me." I had a few drinks amidst their sweet talk, through my drunken haze. The music suddenly stopped and the door opened. Who is it? Huh? It looked like there were 3 Julians standing at the door. Leo gave me a shove. I sobered up. It really was Julian. Julian was dressed in a custom-tailored suit, looking refined and understated, completely out of place in the bar's atmosphere. Weird. Isn't he supposed to be at his birthday party? What's he doing here? Julian walked in, his face dark. Robin, you're into men. I thought back to the past few months of pretending to be straight while luring him into helping each other out. Terrified he'd hit me, I had a flash of inspiration. Who says you have to be gay to come to a gay bar? I just like to sponsor struggling male college students. Maybe it was the lighting, but his eyes looked red with anger. I'm 63, 7 inches. Are you telling me I can't compete with these 2 tarted-up hustlers? By the way, 7 isn't my age. Me, the models. Yeah, we definitely can't compete with that. Julian then turned to Leo. Does Sean Turner know you're at a gay bar hiring models? Leo, now in hot water himself, excused himself and took the models with him. The huge private room was suddenly empty. Julian lifted the front of my shirt with 2 fingers. For fuck's sake, Robin, your nipples are showing. Who's taking advantage of whom here? I quickly covered my chest. 3 seconds later, I puffed out my chest and retorted, filming is over, I have nothing to do with you now. You can't tell me what to do. Julian's jaw was trembling with rage. I have no right. In the middle of our standoff, Julian reached his hand out toward me. I instinctively shut my eyes and flinched. The pain I expected never came. Julian just grabbed me and dragged me away. Chapter 9. The luxury SUV sped through the streets. A short while later, dressed in a suit Julian had prepared, I found myself at his birthday party. I had just walked into the circle of elites I usually only saw in the news. Everyone was looking at me with curiosity. I held my head high, letting them stare, until Julian led me to a famous director and began making introductions. This is Robin Hayes, a talented young actor I just worked with on a film. On the surface, I was polite and engaging, but inside, I was in turmoil. It was his birthday, yet he was using it to pave the way for me. The party ended. As the guests gradually departed, I grabbed Julian's sleeve and gave it a little shake. I'm sorry, I didn't get you a birthday present. There is a gift I want, can you give it to me? What is it? Julian was still radiating the decadent, ambitious aura of the high society world. A shiver went down my spine, and I couldn't stop myself from fantasizing. Him in that suit with me, I would probably willingly be his dog. The corners of Julian's eyes drooped, making him look vulnerable and wronged. Robin, I know you're straight, but can you please give me a chance? I'll be better than anyone else. I couldn't refuse him. I had been suppressing my desire for him from the very beginning. Chapter 10. After I got with Julian, my career took off. I had established my straight persona so well that Julian was unshakably convinced of it. Sometimes I wanted to confess my true orientation, but Julian would always stop me. I know what you want to say. If you can't accept being with a man, I won't force you. Just don't block me again. Let me be able to find you. With that, he'd turn and go to the restroom. I'd stare at his perfect V-taper and reflect on how humility is a man's most attractive quality, but it was hell for me. I had this incredible man all to myself, but I could only look, not touch. I was so frustrated I started breaking out. I went to Angela to complain. She looked just as troubled. You didn't even finish high school, and he has a PhD from a top university. If your relationship stays all emotional and no physical, he's going to get bored eventually. And the main thing is, you can't give him a child. I swear, if I could, Angela would be praying for a patron saint to grant me a baby boy. After 2 weeks of platonic dates, I was at my wit's end. I went online and bought a form-fitting silk dress. High slit, low cut, barely covering anything. The moment Julian saw me, his breathing hitched, but his self-control was impressive. Robin, it's getting cold. You'll catch a cold dressed like that. His voice was deeper than usual as he thoughtfully draped his jacket over my shoulders. If we hadn't slept together that one time, I'd be questioning his virility. I pressed on, wrapping my arms around his waist. Something hard poked my thigh. Tusk. He was just pretending. I bit his earlobe, challenging him. If you can't perform, I'll go find someone who can. A cold glint flashed in Julian's eyes. Robin, don't say things you don't mean. I knelt on the floor and looked up at him. My finger tapped lightly on the zipper of his pants. So pick one. Are you going to eat me, or am I going to eat you? A vein throbbed in Julian's temple. His rationality burned away. Robin Hayes, there's no turning back now. The fire I started was too big. The dress was torn to shreds. A sober man is more creative, his angles more daring. My vision blurred. I had a fantastic time. Chapter 11. The Broken Vow started airing. It was right around our 6-month anniversary. Not every BL drama becomes a hit, not even one starring an A-lister like Julian Croft. I had already managed my expectations. For the first 2 weeks, the ratings were indeed mediocre. But by the 3rd week, The Broken Vow started dominating the charts. After that, everything happened fast. The show became a massive, explosive hit. Our shippers multiplied, crying and begging for us to do variety shows and brand deals together. Our boys were starving. Feed us content. You gave birth to them, but won't raise them. I'm suing you for abandonment. Come out and let us judge you. Are you two even close in real life? Robin has been so coy ever since filming The Broken Vow. I bet he was ripened. On July 20th, winking face. It's an old fan tradition. They turn everything, good or bad, into something dirty. I suggested we do a show together, but Julian shot it down immediately. Robin, if our CP gets too much hype, it won't be good for your future career. He was always so thoughtful, leaving no stone unturned. No one knew about our relationship. A sense of powerlessness washed over me. Julian soothed me in a soft voice. Don't be mad. I just want to bid on a pair of cufflinks. Try them on. After we moved in together, Julian developed a passion for buying me expensive things. It was as if I were a canary in a gilded cage. One day, Julian was out drinking with friends. I went to pick him up. As I reached the door of their private room, I overheard them talking. Is Julian serious about that little actor? He keeps saying his name even when he's drunk. He's probably just playing around. That actor has no education, no substance. Julian never even brings him out to meet people. After their show blew up, Julian's family has been setting him up with potential marriage partners. He's not really gay. He'll go back to a normal family life sooner or later. I kicked the door open. The men looked embarrassed and fell silent. Julian was completely wasted. The moment he saw me, he held out his arms for a hug. I had rarely seen him this drunk. He must have been under a lot of pressure lately, dealing with his family. I helped Julian up and started walking him out, not forgetting to flip them all off. I'm not a little actor. I'm Robin Hayes, one of the hottest stars around right now. Chapter 12. I took a job out of town. Julian was always asking when I'd be back. I was secretly eating street-side noodles behind his back, the super spicy, stinky kind. I'll be back when the job's done. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Julian was a neat freak. I never ate strong-smelling food in front of him. Looking at it that way, I was a pretty good actor. But after playing a part for so long, I was getting tired. On the way back to the hotel, someone was following me. I ducked into a dark alley and picked up a brick. Damn it, where'd he go? Hearing the voice, I swung without hesitation. The old man and I started brawling. I wasn't done yet when a passerby called the police. Before they arrived, I landed a few more punches at the police station. The scene was chaotic. The old man was throwing a tantrum on the floor. A son hitting his own father. Is there any justice in this world? I want him to pay me $10 million. No, $100 million. I'm an orphan. A couple adopted me. But the good times didn't last. The old man got addicted to gambling and would often get violent. As a child, my adoptive mother would shield me in her arms, but I could never shed a single tear. Finally, she decided to divorce him. She asked if I wanted to go with her. I shook my head. I can live on my own. I'm grown up now. I don't need you to support me. I desperately wanted to go with her, but I couldn't be a burden. So at 15, I dropped out of school and started working. Over the years, I had paid off his gambling debts, asking only that he stay away from my adoptive mother. He agreed to my face, but secretly spread rumors that she was still having an affair with him after she remarried. He tormented her until she had a nervous breakdown. Now that The Broken Vow was a hit, he had the audacity to demand an exorbitant sum. What an idiot. I pulled out the evidence I had prepared long ago. After extorting me so many times, you can look forward to rotting in prison, with my hands on my hips. I cursed the old man until he was nothing but a pile of dog shit that didn't dare to talk back. Julian walked in, his leather shoes clicking on the floor. I instantly started stuttering, my eyes darting away. Why you're here? Why isn't it Angela? He looked at the scrape on my cheekbone, his eyes dark. Are you hurt anywhere else? I felt a little smug. Nope. You know how fast my reflexes are. Julian pointed at the old man and gave his lawyer a cold command. I want him to spend the rest of his life in prison. Chapter 13. Julian was angry. I scrubbed off the smell of spicy noodles and spritzed on his favorite cologne. I was back to being the understanding canary. Julian. I hugged him from behind, my kisses landing on the nape of his neck. Julian pried my hands off. Robin, why didn't you tell me? Why would you set a trap by letting yourself get hurt? I was stubborn. I can handle it myself. He can't beat me. I won't let myself be taken advantage of. The old man was beaten black and blue, while I only had a few scrapes from the scuffle. It was all part of my plan. Hearing this, Julian only got angrier. That man is a complete lunatic. What if something had gone wrong? Did you even think about me? Why wouldn't you ask me for help? Julian paced back and forth in his fury. I just didn't think it was necessary. So what if I got a little hurt? I've got nothing to lose, so I just go for it. Julian's face turned grim. He threw me over his shoulder and tossed me onto the bed. Robin, what the hell am I to you? In that moment, he had shed all pretense of being a gentleman. He was as dangerous as a wild beast. It was strange. Every time he lost control because of me, my blood would sing. I hooked a finger on his belt and blinked. All right, then. Julian was rougher than usual. I clung to him, whining, "Husband, I'm sorry." I was hoping he'd let me off easy. But the change in address made his eyes shift dramatically. I knew I was in trouble. For the rest of the night, Julian was like a donkey on steroids. He relentlessly forced me to call him husband. We were locked in a battle of passion, his eyes seeing only me. My joy turned to sorrow. If he really went through with an arranged marriage, he would no longer be mine. Julian let me. I took the initiative, flipping over to sit on top of him. Julian sucked in a sharp breath, pressing my hips down hard. Robin, little bird, you really have a death wish, I laughed. Then let's die together in this passion. Chapter 14. Julian had been busy with something lately. He hadn't been home in a week. Leo called to give me a tip. Julian's been going on arranged dates recently. Did you know? I was slurping my spicy noodles, tears and snot running down my face from the heat. That's great. If he's not home, I can eat these noodles every day. Leo was silent. Come out. I'll treat you to spicy noodle hot pot. I went eagerly and ate a ton. As we were leaving the mall, I looked up and saw Julian, standing head and shoulders above the crowd. His ex-girlfriend was standing next to him. They were chatting happily, a handsome man and a beautiful woman, a perfect picture. Leo probably thought I was a love-struck idiot and decided to hit me with the truth head-on. If you two break up, I'll set you up with a new boyfriend immediately. He's also 7 inches, by the way. Me. If I leave you, who else is going to look out for my sex life? Less than half a day later, the rumors about Julian's new romance were trending, followed by a bright red, explosive tag. The broken vow hadn't even finished airing. Our shippers hadn't even gotten their grand feast, and they were already being served pig slop. They immediately raised hell. The sea knows when a fish cries, but who knows when I've gone mad. Julian, if you have a girlfriend, why the hell did you star in a BL drama? I didn't believe the industry rumors that Julian was homophobic, but now he's debuting a girlfriend before the show's even over. How could you do this to the fans of the show? Open your eyes, look at Robin's perfect ass. That beautiful face, don't tell me your blind public opinion was not good. Julian sent me a message to explain. Robin, the rumors are fake, don't overthink it. There's no chance of me and her ever being together. I had a bad feeling in my gut. A few hours later, the hashtag Robin Hayes Julian Croft relationship exposed shot to the top of the trending list. Chapter 15. My boss was furious and called me into his office. I was the only star his company had produced this year, and he was counting on me to make money. I told you to film a BL drama, not to actually fall in love with a man, and the worst part is you couldn't even hold on to him. He turns around and starts seeing someone else. Now you've lost your ass and your reputation. By the way, is there any chance you two can get back together? The more he talked, the weirder it sounded. Are you shipping us? The boss took a drag from his cigarette. My wife ships you. Everyone knew the boss was henpecked. The person who took the photos was your adoptive father. I've already contacted Julian's team to handle the PR. Soon, Julian and I released a joint statement. We confirmed the photos were real and that we were good friends in private. As for the stalker who took the photos, we would be taking legal action. The shippers were crying and laughing at the same time. On one hand, they knew we were still in contact. On the other, Julian's girlfriend rumors hadn't been denied. To coordinate with the statement, Julian agreed to a joint livestream. Time had passed. My mindset was no longer the same. During the live stream, I was perfectly open and acted like we were just good bros. I've always been convincing when I play straight. The comment section was in shambles. They're definitely close. They got all the couple quiz questions right. But why does Robin seem so aggressively straight? I'm at my wit's end. I thought this joint appearance would be a feast, but it's just a pile of nothing. I can't ship this anymore. I was very satisfied with this outcome. It would make it easier for us to go our separate ways or for the CP to be officially unbound later. Just when I thought everything was going smoothly, the host asked, during the filming process, were there any moments that made your heart flutter? I decided to address the trending topic head-on. Haha, if I were gay, I would have been moved. It was the absolute truth, but Julian didn't know I was gay. He glanced at me and chuckled. Of course, Robin is cute and pretty. It's only natural for a person to have a physical attraction to him. Me. Wasn't this the same Julian who was supposedly homophobic during filming? The comment section was also filled with question marks. WTF, does Julian know what he's saying? Explain, what do you mean by physical attraction? I can answer that in the behind-the-scenes footage of the first kiss scene, Julian used a towel to cover himself. I knew something was up then. The divine doctor has worked a miracle. I feel so much better now the live stream ended. Julian pulled me into the dressing room. He seemed anxious. Robin, tell me, are you having second thoughts? Do you want to break up with? Before Julian could finish, his phone rang. He looked troubled and said he had an emergency. Wait for me to get back. I'll explain everything properly. I waved him off, telling him to go. At the same time, a photo popped up on my phone. It was an invitation to the wedding uniting the Croft and Sterling families. The bride was Julian's ex-girlfriend. Chapter 16. I took a role in an art house film shooting in a remote, mountainous region. The day before I left for the set, I moved out of Julian's house and sent him a breakup text. I had been preparing myself for this, so I wasn't overly heartbroken. There were plenty of examples in the industry. The story of a straight guy turned gay usually ends with you watching him get married and have kids. Julian called me over a dozen times, but I didn't answer. Angela couldn't bear it. This arranged marriage might not be a sure thing. The way he dotes on you, it doesn't seem like he's just playing around. I rubbed my temples wearily. Even if he weren't getting married, I'd still break up with him. With Julian's family background and status, they would never accept me. The trending topics and photos were probably his family's doing. If I insisted on being with him, I would have to accept having no official status and being ostracized by the elite circle. Besides, I was tired. I came from a poor background but had to pretend to be elegant. I love eating from street stalls but could only eat food air freighted from overseas. I think I'll just switch back to my working class channel. To borrow a line from our shippers, my heart was moved then, but the road ahead was long and I had to keep moving. Chapter 17. The filming location was a remote mountain village. When I wasn't in a scene, I liked to wander around with my camera. One day, I had only been out for half an hour. The sky turned dark and a torrential downpour began. There was no shelter in the open fields. I was soaked to the bone, shivering by the time I got back to my car. When it rains, it pours. On the way back, a fallen tree blocked the road. I cursed and slammed on the brakes. In that instant, a mudslide engulfed half the car. I was dug out by the villagers. I had a minor head injury and slept dazedly through the night. My phone and camera were gone. I had to borrow a villager's phone to call and say I was safe. Angela was chanting prayers of thanks. I'm so glad you're okay, but Julian heard you were in an accident and insisted on going to the disaster area to find you. The rain was still falling. The risk of a secondary disaster was high. I threw off the blanket, grabbed a shovel, and hopped onto a tractor with the villagers who were volunteering for the rescue effort. Along the way, there were more sheep and cattle than people, with occasional rocks tumbling down the mountainside. I still couldn't get in touch with Julian. I was frantic with worry. Finally, an expensive Jeep appeared on the road ahead. Even from a distance, I recognized him immediately. I jumped off the tractor and ran toward the Jeep. Julian strode toward me and pulled me into a tight embrace. Thank God you're okay. My eyes burned inexplicably. I pounded on his chest. I told you we broke up. Why did you come looking for me? Julian was covered in dirt, looking nothing like the polished film emperor. I didn't agree to the breakup. I feigned indifference. A breakup doesn't require the other person's consent. Besides, you're about to get married. Robin. Julian cupped my face, forcing me to look at him. Charlotte and I were never a couple. She's always been into women. We were just putting on an act, and I'm not marrying anyone except you. No wonder Charlotte's scripts were mostly about same-sex relationships. The sudden truth left me with a mix of emotions. That's not the only reason I broke up with you. Julian's eyes were bloodshot. He asked in a panic, "Did you realize you still prefer girls after all?" I had really done a number on him. I pushed Julian away and let the truth spill out all at once. Actually, I'm gay. I was pretending to be straight the whole time on set. I shamelessly tricked you into helping each other out. I'm just a bad person. I was done pretending. I laid everything bare. Julian was speechless for a few seconds. "So, you were after my body from the very beginning, me." He really knew how to pick out the important details. Julian gave a self-deprecating laugh. "Well, let me tell you, I'm even more shameless than you. The night before the wrap party, I wasn't drunk at all that night. I thought I had hit the jackpot, getting to sleep with Julian. Little did I know. I was a rabbit who had willingly jumped into the wolf's den. Julian bit my lip as if he'd never let go. Robin, now that you've messed with me, don't even think about escaping. Even a bad person has to serve me for a lifetime." He was talking rough, but his tears were soaking my shoulder. Chapter 19. After Julian and I got back together, I wheedled him into eating Spicy River snail noodles with me. One bite and he was overwhelmed by the heat. One time, I found a pack of spicy snack sticks in his suit pocket. "Aha, so you've been secretly snacking behind my back." An unnatural expression flashed across Julian's face. My face fell. "You're hiding something from me. These aren't for me, are they?" "Who are they for?" Julian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I just wanted to be able to eat the super spicy noodles with you next time. I'm practicing eating spicy food." Later, he really did manage to eat a whole bowl of extra spicy noodles with me. I told Leo about it. Leo commented, "You're truly gifted. How do you eat that much spicy food every day and still manage to get out of Julian's bed in one piece?" Me. Julian was always gentle in that department. He never hurt me. Occasionally, I'd get impatient with his slow pace and buy toys to seduce him. I suspect Julian was never straight to begin with. The instant I started to seduce him, he'd get hard as a diamond. Sometimes we'd get a little too carried away, and I'd be photographed with marks on my neck. The shippers would analyze the reflection in my pupils, my IP address, everything. They pretty much figured it all out. It was a shame they weren't detectives. On our 1-year anniversary, Julian found some fanfiction written by our shippers and made us act it out all night. The floor-to-ceiling windows, the bathtub, the kitchen. I couldn't help but curse. Who is this pervert who wrote a 10,000-word epic just to torture me? A guilty look flashed in Julian's eyes. I understood immediately. Julian had clearly paid someone to write this story. Chapter 20. Extra. Julian's perspective to repay a favor to Charlotte Sterling. I agreed to star in the BL drama she wrote. My co-star was named Robin Hayes. He was just like his name, a little bird, always chirping away in front of me every day, but I didn't find it annoying. I just thought it was cute, the first kiss scene. Something was wrong with me. I'm not gay, but my physical reaction to him was intense. He claimed to be straight, but his actions grew bolder and bolder. Later, he slept with me and then ran. So I arranged a birthday party specifically to invite him. He didn't come. When I caught him at that gay bar, I was about to explode with rage. Afraid he would run away again, I played the victim to make him give me a chance. I came out to my family. But the Croft family is complicated, and I was forced into a power struggle. In the midst of all that chaos, I discovered that Robin would rather get hurt than ask me for help. I keenly sensed that he might want to break up with me. He dared to mention breaking up. Did he have a death wish? I've always been a gentleman in front of others, but with him, dark thoughts always surfaced. He ran away again, this time to the remote mountains. I made up my mind to give up my family inheritance, and I was finally free. Holding Robin in my arms again, breathing in his scent, I knew I had found what I was looking for.